Hello everyone, this is Jeff and I hope you're doing well. Today I want to show you how to install training wheels and pegs on all bikes and adjust them if they're adjustable. And finally, I'll answer the most common question asked. First of all, thank you all for your support, which encourages me to provide you with more better quality videos. Generally, all 12 to 18-inch bikes come with training wheels. Some models are adjustable and some are fixed. Since some people had problem to removing the training wheels, I'll quickly review these bikes for a minute and then move on to the 20-inch and above sizes. Model first. In this model, to install, press the two pins on the side of the training wheel and insert it into the rail and push up until the pins are in place. To remove, press the two pins holder on the frames and release the training wheel. Due to their installation technique, this model doesn't have ability to increase or decrease the height. If for any reason your training wheel has a problem and you can't find the same model, at the end of the video I'll show you how you can install another training wheel instead. Second model. To install this model, first press the training wheel holder latch and insert the training wheel into the rail and release the latch. To remove it, do the opposite. Press the latch and remove the training wheel. This model also doesn't have ability to increase or decrease the height due to their installation technique. In this model, because of the location of the training wheel is next to the rear shaft, if there is a problem with the training wheel, you can install a new training wheel on the rear shaft. Third model. These models are divided into two categories. In the first model, if the training wheel has a hole, the nut and if present washer from the shaft are loosened and the training wheel is placed on the vertical holder, and then the height is adjusted and the nut is tightened. In the second model, which is the training wheel without holes, you must first remove the nut and if present washer from the shaft. Place the holder vertically and place the training wheel on it, adjust the height and tighten the nut. Generally, the nut used on the rear axle is a 15 mm, although 14 mm is rarely seen. Unfortunately, with over 3 million views, only less than 1% of viewers subscribe. I would be happy if you subscribe to the channel to support. Installing a training wheel is very simple if the correct model is chosen. Look at this picture. In the first picture, the training wheel base, which is in the form of a gutter or U-shape, is facing inward based on the location of the training wheel tire, which are called the first model. In the second picture, the gutter is facing outward, which I call the second model. And in the third picture, the training wheel base is flat, which is called the third model. These are the most common types of the training wheel bases that are installed on bikes, although there are other models, but the most common are these three models. Now see the types of vertical training wheel holders. The vertical holder is a piece that holds the training wheel in a vertical position and doesn't allow it to move forward or backward, and is generally sold with the training wheels or separately. This image is a small vertical training wheel holder that has a prong that is placed on the rear axle of the bike. The next image shows the vertical training wheel holder in the form of the middle strap with the groove direction in the same direction as the curvature of the end. The next image also shows a metal strap, but the groove direction is opposite to the curvature of the end. Now, why did I show you this image? If you have or want to buy a Model 1 training wheel, only the middle strap holder in the opposite direction can be installed. If you buy a second model training wheel, only the small vertical holder or the metal strap holder in the same direction can be installed. And if you buy the third model of the training wheel, only the metal strap holder can be installed, which is preferably the opposite direction model. I'm saying this so that if you once had a training wheel without a holder and wanted to buy a holder, which model should you buy? Now, can you tell me which model is this picture? At first, it might seem that is the second model, but if you pay attention to the way that the training wheel tire is installed, you'll see that this is the first model. So pay attention to this thing when buying. Videos on repairing and replacing tires and tube on all bike and how to increase the height of the handlebar on all bikes will be released soon. So subscribe now and turn on notification to be the first to know about it. Let's move on to installing training wheels on bikes 20-inch and above. First model. In this model, the length of the rear axle is longer than usual, which indicate the possibility of installing a training wheel and generally has 2 nuts. To install, first remove the first nut. Although the rear shaft is longer, if you want to install the first model training wheel and the small holder or the metal strap with the same direction, you'll not be able to do it. Only the metal strap holder in the opposite direction can be installed. If you have the same direction holder, you can use a pair of pliers to bend the U-shaped part in the other direction and install it. Always be smart and look for a solution, not focus on the problem. So, first install the metal strap holder, then the training wheel, and finally the washer and nut. When tightening, make sure that the training wheel is in the vertical position. Install the other side in the same position. Now, if you want to use the second model training wheel, first you can use the small vertical holder, which doesn't matter if its extension is left or right. The holder strap in the opposite direction cannot be installed in this model, and the holder strap must be in the same direction. To install, first install the training wheel, then the vertical holder in the same direction, and finally install the washer and nut. Question: is it necessary to install the vertical holder? Well, I must say that if you can hold the training wheel in a vertical position and tighten the nut completely, you might be able to use the training wheel without any problem. But all the comment I've seen so far has mostly been about the training wheel not staying stable in the vertical position without the holder. Now, it depends on you whether you use a holder or not. In this model, to install the peg, remove the first nut and install the peg easily, and finally tighten it with the screwdriver. I'll explain how to install the peg on the front wheel. Second model. In this model, the length of the rear axle seems short, but you are still able to install training wheels only on the first and third model without a vertical holder. So first, remove the nut on only one side of the rear axle and install the training wheel without a vertical holder. If you are unable to unscrew the nut by hand, use your feet or body weight. Avoid unscrewing both rear nuts because the rear tire setting may be messed up and it may be a little difficult for you to adjust. After installing on one side of the axle, go to the opposite side. As you can see, due to the elastic state of the frame, installing the training wheel is done with a trick. Push the frame alone or with the help of another person and install the training wheel at the same time. If you are alone, you can lie the bike down and then put your body weight on the frame and then install it. Although I was able to install the training wheel on this model, I still recommended that you install in the next method and make the job easier for yourself. Third method. For bikes that have short axle and cannot be installed in the previous method due to the presence of the chain cover or retaining screw, you need an axle extender. The extender can be sold alone or with a vertical training strap. Pay attention to which metal strap is installed on your training wheel. To install, first remove the nut on one side. Install the axle extender, which usually requires a 15mm wrench or adjustable wrench. The diameter of the rear axle is generally 3/8 inch and has two types of TPI, 24 and 26 TPI. This number indicates the number of the threads per inch or TPI. Unfortunately, there is no easy way to identify these two and can only be found out by testing. If the axle extender tightens with a little pressure, it means that the correct threads hasn't been selected. If you can replace it, even better. Otherwise, tighten it with a little pressure as shown in the video. There will be no particular problem and you can reinstall the nut after removing the training wheels. In this situation, the small holder can no longer be installed. Only two vertical holders strap can be installed, so pay attention when purchasing. If the training wheel is a second model, only the vertical holder strap in the same direction can be used. So, install the training wheel, then the holder strap, and finally the washer and nut. As you can see, even with the holder strap installed, the training wheel still moves. To fix this problem, bend the strap inward slightly and then tighten the knot. If the strap still doesn't fit on the rear frame, increase the amount of strap bending. You can see that the strap is now fully in place and holds the training wheel in a vertical position. If I want to install the first model training wheel with the holder strap in the same direction, there will be no place to install the rear nut. So I have to use the opposite holding strap for the first model of the training wheel. To install, first install the holder strap, then the training wheel, and finally the washer and nut. If necessary, bend the strap slightly as in the previous step to fit it on the frame. In this model, to install the peg, it's enough to remove the training wheel and the holder and install the peg instead, and finally tighten it with the screwdriver. Whenever you want, you can remove the training wheel and use it without training wheels. Multi-speed bike. For multi-speed bike and the presence of the derailleur on the rear axle, you also need an axle extender, and it will be installed in two ways. To install, first remove the nut on one side. Install the axle extender. As mentioned, the small vertical holder has no use with the rear shaft extender. So, either the second model is used with the holder strap in the same direction, or the first model is used with the holder strap in the opposite direction. To install the second model, first place the holder strap and then the training wheel, and then install the washer and nut. If the holder strap doesn't fit on the rear frame as in the previous method, bend it slightly, and then complete the installation steps. After installation, if you look, you'll see that the chain is on the smallest sun gear and the training wheel has no effect on the derailleur performance, and you can easily change gears and there is still a small gap between the derailleur and training wheel. If you want to install the training wheel from the first model, first install the training wheel, then vertical holder, and finally washer and nut. In this model, to install the peg, the same, it's enough to remove the training wheel and holder and install the peg instead and tighten it with the screwdriver. 2 axle extender. On some multi-speed bikes such as this 24-inch bike, you still not to be able to install the training wheel with 1 axle extender due to the large derailleurs. For this model of bike, you need 2 shaft extender on the side where the derailleur is. In this case, the derailleur will do its job well and the training wheel will not interfere with its operation. First, unscrew the rear nut and install an extender and test the training wheel for installation. As you see, none of the models can be installed due to the large derailleur. So install the second extender on the first one. Then to install the training wheel of the first model, first install the vertical holder, then training wheel, and finally washer and nut. As in the previous method, if the holder doesn't fit on the frame, bend it slightly inward. The bend should be such that it doesn't move from the frame when tightened. Otherwise, it will scratch the paint on the bike. Tighten the nut completely by holding the training wheel vertically. To install the second model training wheel, first install the training wheel, then the holder, and finally the washer and nut. In this case, the derailleur will do its job well and the training wheel will not interfere with its operation. Be sure to pay attention to length of the training wheel when you're buying so that it supports your bike. Generally, the full length of the rear axle extender is 1.5 inches, which makes the rear axle 1 inch longer. In this model, to install the peg, you only need the one extender, and for safety, avoid installing both and tighten it with the screwdriver at the end. To install the peg on the front wheel, you can also install by installing an extender. Now, what should be done for 26 or 27.5 and 29-inch bike? For these bikes, adjustable training wheel should be used. In the picture, you can see the adjustable training wheel that supports up to 29-inch bike. Although this model can also be used for 12-inch to 24-inch bike, it's preferable to use simpler and cheaper model due to its price. All bikes on which you want to install the training wheel must meet the necessary installation requirements, which are generally only installed on the threaded rear axle. For other bikes such as cruiser, sports, and etc., you can install the training wheel and peg in the same way. I've included the link to buy all the items such as the training wheel and axle extender at the lowest price in the description section below. Now let's go back to the bikes where you can find the exact model of the training wheel. For this bike, use a 15mm socket and ratchet wrench, remove the nut inside the vertical holder and install the new training wheel as described for 20-inch bikes. It's better to use a small vertical holder, but if there is no small holder, the holder strap will not be a problem. Important points when buying a training wheel. 1. Since riders only use training wheel for a short time and may take them off for less than 2 weeks, it's better to avoid buying expensive and fancy training wheels because they are just a waste of the money. 2. When buying, pay attention to the height of the training wheel or the seller's description to make sure it supports your bike, and you can measure the height of the rear axle to the ground and compare it with the seller's information or photos. Generally, the distance from the rear axle to the ground is 25 cm for 20-inch bikes, 30 cm for 24-inch bike, 32.5 cm for 26-inch bike, and 36 cm for 29-inch bikes. Most frequently asked question: whether the training wheels should touch the ground? I have to say no. The reason is that if the training wheel is completely attached to the ground, firstly, it will constantly make a noise, and secondly, children will not understand the meaning of the balance. If you set the distance of each training wheel of about half a centimeter or a quarter of inch from the ground, when the bike is exactly vertically, none of the training wheels will touch the ground, and this shows you and the children that they are ready to remove the training wheels. Children are always looking to show off their ability, and of course they are. They're trying to show you that they have acquired enough skill to ride a bike without training wheels, so that you will encourage them, and this is a big victory for them. If you have any other questions, feel free for a comment and I'll answer them as soon as possible. If you are healthy, you are one of the richest people in the world. Thanks for watching, and I hope this video helped you. Until next video, stay tuned.